episode of Middle of the Road, the podcast. We are flashing back again, this time to the year 2010, to review the film The Book of Eli. This film stars Denzel, Gary Oldman, and for some reason Mila Kunis in a role that is completely pointless and worthless. But we can get to that in the discussion later.
John's already braced himself.
It was directed by the Hughes brothers, who have... what have they done? They did From Hell and Dead Presidents and Alpha from a couple years ago. This is a post-apocalyptic film picked by John, so I'm going to let him take it from here.
Yeah, so I think this movie has a lot of... It's comprehensively, I think, a great film with aspects about... It's got good direction, I think, good cinematography, a great score, especially at the beginning and end of the film, and great acting as well. So there's a lot, I think, in this film for any film lover to enjoy and appreciate. But I think the two things that kind of make it stand out more personally to me is, one, first of all, the post-apocalyptic genre, I think I always appreciate because it provides some interesting meditations on humanity and how we reflect on how we try to organize and create society, and what things in our society do we view as valuable and beneficial, and what things, like in our history, do we view as such, but then also what tools do we use to try to explain our past and our present and our future and that kind of thing, especially when it comes to using storytelling or using religion or those types of ideas to explain our understanding of our reality. So there's that aspect, which is a bit more broad, but then I think also on a more intimate and internal note, I think one of the reasons why I like this film, and a big reason why I really like this film too also, is I think it's probably, I don't want to say honest, but maybe a pretty human portrayal of someone with faith and how that faith affects them and affects their decisions and their choices and just how they conduct their life.
But would you say he is, not to jump ahead, but he is a actual prophet in this movie, though? No? With supernatural connotations involved.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't. That doesn't negate what you're saying, but I think you can imagine for the 30 years he's been spinning in circles across the Midwest, he's had experiences to show his invulnerability that he's been shown he should believe in the faith because the faith has given it back to him. The only time he's injured in this movie is once he gives away the book.
Well, yeah, but it's like that's when his mission's completed, you know?
Yeah, but that's true. But, okay, sorry, John, cut you off.
Well, so the term prophet, I think, is interesting because prophet, I think, connotates, I guess in the sense of a messenger from God. I think what's interesting is, and granted, my Old Testament background is, super limited, but the prophets always had, a specific people that they were, talking to. And it was interesting in the sense that so much of his journey was about isolation and about, him just doing it. And potentially that's an interesting theme to kind of talk about in terms of the times when he is approached or probably given and probably has in the past. You can extrapolate from the film people who want to accompany him and he's turned down. And so finally, well, why is it so Lawler that finally fits the bill? Yeah, what was interesting, and I think this is actually only my second time, or maybe my third time watching this film. Honestly, I don't think I've seen it since I saw it in theaters. And
Hold on, I wanna say, did she really fit the bill? It felt like he just, I mean, he couldn't send her back. Like
He could have.
well, and I, but
she was baggage he had to carry. Like
So
it wasn't like you're worthy. It's like, well, either you come with me or you rot out
It
here.
was more like, I can't stop you from following me. If this is what you want to do, she's gonna do it.
So I think there's an interesting notion about Eli being guided by faith and by an understanding of what he's supposed to do, and the idea that maybe this person is someone that he's supposed to allow to follow him. So in the Old Testament, and this is research that I've only done like today, but Eli was actually a priest, and one of his main student, or his biggest student, was the prophet Samuel. And the prophet Samuel was a key figure in terms of representing the transition of Israel going from just kind of a tribal nation that kind of just like wandered in the wilderness and that kind of thing to, no, we're going to be like, we want a king. We want to be a kingdom. We want to be like an actual government. And Samuel was the first prophet to kind of point to, okay, that'll be King Saul first. And then after King Saul, it'll be King David, who's probably the biggest historical legendary figure in Israel's history. So I think knowing that the name and the history behind Eli as a biblical figure has some connotations in terms of who did he mentor and what did that person end up going to do. I think that adds a little bit more depth and a little bit more undertones to Mila Kunis's character. So first of all, this is all stuff that I've also only now kind of like looked into, and so the fact that can possibly be read into or possibly be intentional like adds to the depth and I think the overall understanding and enjoyment of the film. But so like I think one thing that's interesting about the way Denzel Washington plays this is he plays this as, even though he's invulnerable, he plays this in a deeply human way, and he plays it in a way where you're aware that he's not infallible. He still views himself as an imperfect being. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's with that, it's interesting to see a figure whose faith and understanding of their faith influences so much of what they do with their life. It's interesting to see them portrayed in this way. That's not a caricature or a stereotype of some of the depictions or some of the honest portrayals of people that we probably know, some of us maybe in real life, of people of a religious background who are maybe deeply hypocritical or controversial or just overall bad people. And some of that's seen in Gary Oldman's character, and you can maybe talk about people who use religion with good intents and good people who use it for bad purposes. But yeah, so I don't know. There are so many films that I think on the first time watching I've felt like really high on, and then when I go back and watch them, like, well, this was great, but I probably just like inflated it on a first viewing. But by the end of this film, like, there was a like noticeable lump in my throat, and it was just as poignant watching it now as it was when I watched it in theaters for the first time. I should also note I watched this in theaters for the first time in college with the campus faith group I was part of. So shout out to University of Toronto.
I think it would have been interesting, especially since I found Kunis's character completely pointless, and like they should have just got rid of her. Like,
but then we would have been stuck with an apathetic, non-existent person.
Well, they could have had her, but in the context that they needed to give her something to do instead of just so willfully giving. I mean, she spends one night with him and is like trying to recite a prayer the next day, which is more of a plot device than it is her becoming a piece of faith, a follower of the faith. And I don't know. I think the ending is like laughably terrible. Like the last shots of the movie with her.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah,
putting it on, and I'm like,
stuff going back.
Like you didn't earn any of this.
No,
but I think, John, you bring up an interesting point in Denzel's character. You know, he's not a caricature of someone who's faithful, but it would have been interesting if they would have questioned what he has to do for his faith at all. Like, he is a murdering psychopath from the outside, And I don't know. I just hearing you talk about it, I would have loved to have some sort of dialogue into that, and like that could have really, really elevated the movie to something amazing. I think.
Because there was like one line at the end where he's like, "It's about time I finally start acting on what I read about," and that's like the extent of his development as a character.
Yeah, and then he dies.
He dies. What did he die from?
I think the wound
gunshot.
is what we're supposed
But
to assume.
you know, I was reading trivia. It says if you were writing the Bible, it takes how many? I can't remember the exact facts, but basically it said if you were reciting it, if you wrote for 8 hours a day, it would still take you 66 days to write out the Bible. So he was alive from a gunshot wound for 66 days.
Well, I mean, we can assume the gunshot
also
wound
gave
didn't
him,
kill him pretty easily.
A blind guy's sharpshooter accuracy.
Oh yeah,
So-
he was more capable than Daredevil. Like,
And that's, like, for me, like, the first time I saw this movie, I thought that was a cool twist, but, like, the second and third time, it hurts
Second
the movie
time I
so
hate
much.
it.
And this time, which was the
I
third or
disagree
fourth
totally.
time,
I
you
love
just,
that.
like,
bit.
I can imagine, like, a spiritual ghost just kind of, like, just point him in the direction he needs to go.
like in order for it to make sense to me, I had to
Angels
just tell
in the
myself.
outfield
Yeah.
south.
I just had to keep telling myself it's like, you know, maybe that voice is just constantly talking to him, telling him where to look, what to do. It's like at one point, I was reading trivia, it was kind of funny because they're like, if you watch him, you'll notice him do certain things. Like there was a thing he did in the beginning when he was searching for stuff. He brushes his hand through the plates. So that was a thing that was like, okay, yeah, he's blind. And then there's another thing where it's like, at one point you hear him using echolocation. It's like, oh, come on. Like that did not happen.
But I mean, like, there are hints to it.
when I
Like,
first-
he smells the shampoo.
Yeah,
And
like
I mean,
he could smell
smells the
people.
hijackers
He has like
way off,
extreme.
but it's-
Yeah, he has like extreme senses of hearing and smell. Apparently,
I think all that stuff stands up and works. I'm just going to put that on the record.
It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that it's so silly. Like, it feels like, I don't know. Like, I can understand, like, bullets not grazing him. Like, you know, it's like, oh, the aim's just a little off. But, like, this blind guy being guided by God to shoot people seems a little extreme. Like, it just, I don't know. Like,
I mean, he's not being
I mean,
God's not telling him. God spoke to him once, and he said,
God
"Take
flooded
this book
the planet.
west."
He's fine with that.
well, how is he shooting these people then? I mean, there's got to be some kind of divine.
It's the
or
echolocation.
supernatural- Yeah, wait.
No,
whatever.
it's like he hears a
Like,
bullet being shot from a certain place, and he has pinpoint accuracy to shoot where that shot came from.
No, I'm not buying that at all.
This isn't a movie
So,
we
but
should
I
be,
think-
be playing logic to, though. Like,
That's true.
Well,
That's
there's not
fair.
enough here for me to point out. It's like the only thing I can focus on because I hate the religious side of it.
It's
I think
that
it handles
and,
the religious
dead
stuff.
Cats.
I don't. It's so
Okay.
annoying. It's like there's no. I wish he was more of a character, but all he does is quote the Bible from time to time, and just that's about it. It's like there's nothing to
only
anyone, and I
playing
don't
the
understand.
history.
I
That's
hate
fair.
it so much that it's like, why are they putting all their faith in this book? How is it going to save the world? It's not.
no, it's not going to
stupid.
save the world.
And
But
Gary
that's what they
Oldman's
think
character was even like, this is part of why the world is fucked as it is.
It's like, but Gary Oldman, he's already
like
the
the
king of
Bible
his
may have
own
been part of
castle.
it.
Just write your own Bible. No one's going to know it's not the real Bible.
That is an interesting angle. Two things there. I don't. The world doesn't. The world's not clamoring for nobody.
No, I'm just
Eli's
talking about what the
doing he
tagline
wants.
to this movie was. Like, the IMDb summary was, or it was like a post-apocalyptic tale in which a lone man fights his way across America in order to protect a sacred book that holds the secret to saving humankind. How? It does
Which,
not
by the
save
way,
humankind.
it took this dude, like, let's be generous and say 10 years to walk across the
No,
U.S.
he said he's been
No, he said
walking for
30.
30 years.
That's why
Okay.
I said he was spinning
I did
around
the
in the
math.
Midwest
If
for
you
a while.
walk
So-
for 10 hours a day, it should
like-
take you less than a year to get across
I mean,
the oh my god, the country.
Maybe
He's
like,
blind.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
so
say
he's just
maybe,
walking
like,
in circles.
Maybe like the guiding is only for like when he needs to kill people.
His
Otherwise,
guide
he's
is
just
playing the biggest prank
all over
on
the
him.
place.
He's walking in like all different directions. Like,
I think there's also an interesting commentary and parallel, though, between, like, again, if we view this as a parallel between, or almost a retelling of the story of the people of Israel. Well, before the people of Israel became a kingdom, they were literally people wandering the desert for, like, 40 years. And so I think it's an interesting connection or
See,
similarity
when you say all that stuff,
to kind of tie
it's like, I'm
this
going to be the biggest dick in
to
this
the
episode,
history.
but every time you start talking about that, I immediately tune out. It's like all these
No, but
Bible
see, it would have been
events.
interesting, John, if then they would have translated that into his journey. You know, like, what did he learn in those
Yeah, we got to
years,
see like
you know?
4 days of his journey, and that's it.
He got to learn that the best thing to border with is KFC wipes.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's
very
interesting
vital.
because I guess
Finger looking good.
Excuse me, if I'm not gonna trust a man who saran wraps his feet. It's like you're just holding in those juices. Is that another thing you learned from KFC? Like baste your feet.
I will say, like, there is some great stuff in this movie, like the opening where he like
Oh, you mean this
fucks
opening
those dudes
where
up.
this cat
Well,
dies?
the second sequence, I guess, where he like cuts the dude's hand off and is like, "No, I told you weren't getting that back." That was cool. Some of the gunfights are cool.
that's another thing, Ben. So when he
The gunfights that you
when
said
he
made no
backs
sense to
up
me.
underneath the bridge, the idea is he's equalizing the playing field because he's putting his attackers in
Darkness.
theoretically just
Yeah.
as much darkness as he is. Yeah.
I also think he can hear them better under there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make that argument too. The first time I saw this movie, after I saw it, I was just like, no, he's not blind. Like, he can just read Braille. Like,
That's the
not what
second
the movie
argument
is
I'm making.
implying.
I think it's that. You know, that's why it took him
Just because
30
there
years.
was-
He had to teach himself Braille at first.
Because there were some things that just I didn't pick up on, but then also like didn't make sense to me. Like the entire time, like Denzel's Washington's like line of sight is, which granted is part of him hiding the fact that he's blind, but is like very in tune with people when he's talking to him and that kind of thing. I also, the time when he actually walks into town, there's a sign that he stops at. And he follows the sign into town. And then later, when they meet the old couple,
Yeah, I
he
didn't
says,
see
I
it, yeah.
didn't see your sign. And I'm like, well, then how'd you make it to the town? Was this the voice of God again? What's
that
going
must
on?
have been like that sign must have had something etched, so like the Daredevil vision, he could see.
No, see, it was one of those scratch and sniff signs. So it was like, you know, just go this direction based on this smell of just decaying bodies. And no, he could smell
And
her
the
shampoo
one-
from miles
Yeah,
away.
the shampoo.
I will say, I did like the fight sequences, and Denzel Washington apparently did all his own stunts in this movie, too, which is super impressive.
I think you could argue the first 35 minutes of this movie is perfect. Like, I which is basically until he gets to town.
I would
Or
say
no,
I could
it's
say
through
great.
through the bar
Yeah.
fight.
The first
The
30
movie.
minutes, the first 10 minutes of that 30 minutes had no words. That's why it was perfect.
Well, the more talking that does happen, the less good the movie does get, I would say. But then for the next 15 minutes or so, it's still kind of interesting with the Gary Oldman and him going back and forth. And I think where the movie kind of turns a little bit, and by no means is horrible, but is just like, okay, we're doing something completely different here, is like, it's kind of like subtly, you know, referencing religion and it's the
Subtly.
bad things about it. No, it is subtle. And then
He's
Gary
quoting
Oldman.
verses constantly.
No, not subtle that there is religion. I'm just saying there's like a subtle, nuanced conversation about religion's power in society, and then
Yeah, I
but
also
then
don't
there-
find that subtle.
But then there's a scene where Gary Oldman just starts explicitly. I guess it's after he leaves town. It's like Gary Oldman's getting the like knee surgery going, and he just starts explicitly laying out why he needs everything. It's like, the book will control the people, and he's just screaming about it for 5 minutes, and it's just like, okay, guys, we got it. You didn't need to lay this out here so thick.
I love that, like, he asks Denzel Washington's character, like, if he reads it all. And when he says he reads daily, he doesn't ask him what book he's reading. It's like, that would have been the first question he would have had. It's just everyone's stupid
Yeah,
in this
like,
movie.
do you have a
guys.
library in that backpack? Or
Yeah.
what's going on there, bud?
I mean, yes, the logistics of the movie don't make much sense. Like, why bring him into the... I mean, I get why they bring him into the town so he can get Mila Kunis to follow him and set up the... But, like, there's no way he's leaving that town. Like
But he did.
I know.
Because
but
God.
Because he has magic and
But-
he can teleport out of a room just like Mila Kunis can teleport out
he
of a
does
cave.
have some magic.
And like, why'd Gary Oldman, second in command, let him leave the town? Just shoot him and take the book.
Yeah, there was definitely something going on with Ray
because
Stevenson.
he wanted to bargain for Solara.
No,
I don't think he was
I
that
feel like
depth-
there was something that was lost in the...
Like, it felt like it was supposed to be some grand moment, like he saw something in Denzel Washington, and that stopped him from shooting him. But it's like,
Well, when he dies,
This guy's
he has
immune
a...
to bullets.
oh yeah,
he
when he
has a-
stares at the sun.
Yeah, it definitely feels like something got cut out with Ray Stevenson's character.
Yeah.
But I think at that turning point for the movie, like for that first 35, 45 minutes, it's this really interesting post-apocalyptic, like, Walker movie. You know, I was really into it in the tone. I thought the violence was well done. The action was well shot. But then it, like, really kind of veers into, like, are we a genre, like, overtly genre and trying to do cool, like the whole house shooting up scene is just, like, completely nonsensical, and the movie also starts to get really cutesy with the Mila Kunis character and how she doesn't understand the past, and they make all these cute little jokes. It's I don't know, that part of the movie just, it feels so separate from everything that came before it, and I would have just much preferred the tone of the first half of the movie to run through to the end. And, you know, yes, that's a more grim movie, but at the same time, like, the comedy bits weren't really working, and like I said, I think they didn't earn anything with the Mila Kunis. Like, I was just like, I'm not buying any of this, and it's not, I don't think it's her fault. I think it was just a completely underwritten and poorly conceived character. I mean, the conception was interesting, because obviously it's supposed to paths on this path to her, but I think
What
they
path,
didn't do any
though?
work
Like,
to get there.
The path is done. Eli finished it.
Also, it seems like there's, like, a darker version of this. Like the ending is kind of a little Raiders of the Lost Arky, in that, like, he had this mission to bring the Bible, which he thinks can save humanity, to the humane people, and then they just put it on a shelf.
Yeah,
you know?
but that guy also said that he thought it would save humanity or something.
Well,
Yeah.
he didn't just put it on a shelf.
But that
They
could
were
have been
pri-
like
they
a
were
rewriting
printing-
thing,
It was the
you know,
first
like
thing they were printing.
They were printing a bunch of them. It wasn't just
Yeah,
one.
I know they
Yeah,
printed
All
more
the
than
other
one, but-
religious texts weren't good enough. It had to be the Bible.
Yeah.
Is it implied that Mila Kunis has a copy of it?
I don't think so. There's
No.
not a,
Like,
there's
did she
not
take
a
one
lot of
with her?
it kind of washes over everything in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I guess I've always read the ending as she has a copy with her,
And she's gonna go teach people.
No. I mean, no,
Yeah.
the world's already saved. We got color back.
I mean,
So cinematically though, like, I loved that transition as they slowly got to the West Coast and San Francisco. You started to see, like, the fields kind of, like, fill in with color, and the palette just turned, like, really subtle until it's bright and vibrant in Alcatraz. Like, I thought that entire sequence was really beautifully done.
Crickets.
Our native Bay residents are contemplating.
Hey, I've been to Alcatraz. I know what's up.
Good tour.
I liked it better in The Rock.
Yeah, but I don't know. It kind of feels like they spun it into, let's have a happier ending to this thing. And they're like, well, we killed him, but I don't know. Like,
He did.
it seems like I'd love to know if this was, like, the original, if this did get cut up a little bit and they tried
It did get rewritten, excuse me, by
everything
someone
gets
else.
rewritten.
So
Everything
Gary
gets rewritten.
Whitta had the.
I thought he had a sole credit, or is there more than one?
He had a sole credit, but then someone else took over, like, rewrites for it.
I mean, he gets sole credit, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean people... I mean, Denzel was probably rewriting shit on here. I mean, he's a filmmaker and a powerful enough star in his own right. To be honest, some of the back half stuff actually almost feels like Denzel's like, can I be cool, Denzel, a little bit? We gotta give me some good bits here. I mean, the best bit was, like, if taken away from the rest of the movie, like, when they're trying to escape the old couple, that would have been funny. If, like, this was, like, a funny jaunt across the West Coast, or the western half of the United States between these two. But, like, this movie's been mostly serious, and then it's like, hey, we're gonna throw in a kooky cannibal joke, which led into that action sequence. But, yeah, I don't know. I just found the back half a little tonally messy, but I liked the first half so much, and I ultimately like where the movie goes. I definitely bumped this up in my rating a full star from what I was on Letterboxd previously.
Interesting.
So what, it's a 3.5 now?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's, like, fine. Like,
I was indifferent to it.
Like, I gave it a 3. Like, I feel like the next time if I ever watch this again, I'm gonna get bored in, like, 20 minutes and just put on Mad Max, because it's like, if I want post-apocalyptic, I'm just gonna go all out for it, I guess.
Did you read, Lauren, you probably saw this, but the joke or the reference at the beginning of the movie when the robber or bandit says he's probably got a gun, but it's probably unloaded, is a reference to Mad Max in that he always carries around that shotgun unloaded.
See, I missed that until I read the trivia because I didn't see the original Mad Max. But it's like the whole time I was watching this movie, all I could think about was, 1, I wish the Dark Tower movie had been better. And 2, I just wanted to watch Mad Max Fury Road again.
Oh yeah, this also makes, like, has increased my desire to see The Road in terms of comparisons.
Yeah, I haven't seen
good.
The Road either.
I was comparing that. I flipped back to my
remember
review
being sad. That's about it.
on the website. And yeah, I was comparing this to The Road, probably unfairly, because this definitely wants to be a little more genre-y than The Road is. But the first half is it's a little bit more action movie version of The Road, I would say. But The Road is excellent. It's just grim as fuck. And if you want to talk about how to do a cannibal scene, that movie does it.
Okay, I'll put it on my watch list.
I also think the movie does a good job of not getting into, like, the misery post-apocalyptic porn vibes of it all. You know, like, people that just love to, like, fantasize about this shit. Like, while I'm hopeful for humanity that if something like this happened, we wouldn't delve into something like this. It doesn't, like, revel in that side of things, really. And for that, I'm always appreciative, I think. Especially if it's something that is kind of genre exploitative like this. That can feel kind of icky.
Like, just watching this, I always feel, with movies like this, I always just feel annoyed on behalf of all women. Because they're always just, like, rape victims or just sexual objects for the men who are ruling the country and everything. It's like, this is just not fun for me.
Nope, totally valid opinion. I feel
Mila
like they could have
Kunis
gone.
would have been the badass in the next one.
No, she was a pawn used to have sex with Denzel Washington, and that was the extent of her character. And just a little naive girl who had to learn things. But yeah, next sequel, she would have been cool, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. She would have been like...
Yeah, but we didn't get that movie now, did we?
I mean, but we got her taking out her car, and then, like, I remember that
Yeah,
the
throwing
scene,
the grenade
the
was
shot
pretty
where
cool.
she,
Like the grenade roll.
but I remember that being so, like, used heavily in the trailers and the commercials. It made this film seem even more actiony than it actually is, which
It's a pretty steady stream of action.
That reminds me of my favorite detail of this movie, though, was when the like the bank truck or whatever, when it backs up, it still beeps. It's like, it was just such a weird detail to have for this post-apocalyptic armored up truck. It just made me so happy.
I would have advised them not to spend the night in the remnants of a nuclear exhaust silo.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact half-life of that uranium, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty radiated there still.
He could probably smell it. He's fine.
Yeah.
If there's anything
He's a
there, we know.
superhero. Radiation doesn't affect him.
If anything, it makes him
If
stronger.
anything, it makes him it makes him more powerful.
So did anybody think he was actually, like, for lack of a better term, like a prophet who was in God's protection up until, like, I took
It's
that
the
at
only
face
thing that makes
value in this
sense.
movie. Huh?
It's
I
the
mean,
only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, it's...
No, I only mean for his protection. I believe his blindness made him a super shot. But him not being able to get killed.
Wait, you think the blindness was like him being
Yeah.
able to shoot while being blind? That was Eli.
That was Eli's
But
superpower.
bullets
everybody
ricocheting
missing
off his
was
back was
God.
Jesus.
Again, I didn't want to say the name, but that's who I picture is like just guiding his arm, like pushing his hand.
Yeah.
Gently
would've
one
been-
direction.
Oh my
like
god,
shoot
I want to
somebody.
see the fan art. Just a whole new edit
Like,
of this movie with someone
like,
just
Jesus
slowly
take the
like-
wheel.
Yes.
It also
need that
seems like
comic.
Jesus, guide my barrel.
it also seems like a big misstep that we don't get his backstory, really, at all.
He's a blind man. That's all you need to
disagree,
know.
just because I think the way he plays it, you get like such a interesting story of him in terms of he seems like he seems like he's filled with self-loathing and this sense of urgency and commitment, excuse me, to his mission. But in a sense that he's probably, and maybe some of this is informed by knowledge of some of the other messengers or prophets and
Messengers. That's a
biblical-
better word for it.
That's
What's
what
that?
I was
Messengers
thinking.
better
Like,
than prophet.
yeah.
Yeah.
But many of the other messengers in like biblical history, like when you talk about like Moses or like Abraham, like these guys that didn't have this confidence of themselves or in themselves inherently to be like, yes, I am the person who is supposed to lead these people or to take on this like divine task. So I felt like he embodied that like well enough to be consistent with those figures.
Man, you think so much higher of his character than me. It was just like non-existent.
Do you think like those guys would have like spears just go like right by them? Like, okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
They could do like if they like shot a bunch of arrows, it'd be like the cartoon outline.
You just do the bullet time of them just watching it go past.
Also, why didn't he take his spears with him after he killed those two guys with the bow and arrow?
I was wondering.
I know
about
one
that.
went through the guy's
The
dick. but come
spears,
on.
the arrows, you mean? That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking,
arrows,
because he
sorry.
kept talking about how it's like in the time before, people were so wasteful, we always threw things away, and he kept doing that. It's like, pick up those arrows. Or it's like, he's like, oh, he had to kill a cat in order to eat, but he's not going to kill that mouse. It's like, I would eat that too.
Yeah, he fed the mouse.
Yeah, he
It's
fed
like,
the mouse. It's like,
Yeah,
what
it's
is
like, dude,
what
if you're
is
that
this?
hungry, like, why don't you just kill everything you come across?
Didn't he say something about him for breakfast or something like that?
No, he told the mouse to save room for breakfast.
Oh,
But it's
save room.
also
It's like
like,
he has like
maybe,
a granola bar for him later or something. Who
Maybe
knows?
it's like he also just hates cats because like the only other cat he sees is that other one he just like shoos away.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
It's because
well,
he's a witch.
Denzel's line was pretty good when he's like, "It's cat." That was good line delivery. I've watched a lot of Denzel lately. I think this is a pretty good performance for him. I mean, his character
So
isn't that.
Like, I don't know. There's just nothing there to me. I don't get it.
I agree. I agree. It's not deep. I'm not saying it's one of his best things, but
I mean, because when we watched Castaway, I said Denzel Washington could be that part. But then watching this, I was like, I'm taking back that vote. I'm not giving it to him.
Go watch Training Day.
Well, yeah, he has a character in that movie.
go watch
My-
Roman
No,
J.
it-
Israel,
Eh,
which I watched this week. Ben, you underrate that movie. It was pretty good.
yeah.
That's similar to this movie, though,
my
in that
Denzel
it's
movie
all
will
over the
always
place.
be Man on Fire.
So, side note, Man on Fire, for whatever reason, also has a huge religious following. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, that one doesn't seem warranted. Like that's a very different movie.
Something
Other
about,
than-
like, the self-sacrifice at the end, and, like,
Yeah, but he
I
also
don't
is
know.
like murdering a bunch of people. Like
he
and
sticks
it's not
C4 up a guy's
yeah,
scrotum.
yeah, it's
like,
it's not in self defense. Like he's actually just like he's on the offensive killing people. And in really brutal fashion.
he's going to be playing Macbeth coming up in a Joel Cohen movie. Interesting.
Yeah, no Ethan Cohen.
Oh, that's
I think that movie's shot. It'd be interesting if we got
It
it
just
this
says
year.
announced on IMDb.
Ooh, I thought they filmed it already.
Well, I mean,
This
IMDb's
isn't
not always
his first-
accurate, so.
This isn't his first Shakespeare too. He did the Kenneth Branagh,
Midsummer.
not Emma Watson, Emma
Thompson.
Thompson, Keanu Reeves, like everyone's in that version. Like, I need to go back and watch that. I don't think I ever finished it.
I don't know. I like this movie more. I appreciated it more on its own.
I looked at my IMDb rating for this, and I had given it 8 out of 10. It's like, what did I think about it like a decade ago? Why did I love it so
be
much?
fair,
and now I give it
that's-
like 2.5 out of 5 stars.
There's a
I
review
gave
on
it-
the website.
From me?
Oh. Yeah, we both reviewed it.
Oh no. Could
I
delete
gave it.
that.
I gave it 4. Like I would say it was great the first time I saw it, and it's kind of. It's lost a little
watching
bit
it, I
each time
didn't
I've gone
care
back
about
to it.
anything. Except the cat that dies at the beginning.
Yeah, what kind of messenger of God would do that?
Yeah.
Gotta eat.
I would
How do you even smell the cat coming? He had a mask on.
say this is Mila Kunis's best 2010 performance. But
But that
I've
one
only
scene in
seen
Black Swan was
part
just-
of a different one that
She's better in Black
I
Swan,
haven't seen
not
yet.
just the scene you're talking about. In like all of the scenes,
She
in
was
Black Swan.
she was robbed of an Oscar nomination in Black Swan. That's for damn sure.
I don't know. I don't know if she was
I didn't
wrong,
realize she
but-
wasn't nominated for it. That's interesting.
Yeah, she kind of got
I-
shafted.
John, you haven't even seen her performance. Why would you be surprised she wasn't nominated?
Which is because I like no.
Hey, she
beyond-
goes down
like,
on Natalie Portman, so
beyond the obvious things that people are talking about. I think her performance was that film overall was critically acclaimed. I think her performance was also especially lauded because of the drastic tone shift between what she previously has been known for, which is 70 Show and Family Guy, and the character that she portrayed in Black Swan. Same thing here. Like I think if there's an actress who made any sort of seamless transition into doing drama roles, like Mila Kunis is a great example of that, I think, in my opinion.
Emma
I
Stone
also
is too.
she was great in Extract, which was also from 2010.
her competition for Best Supporting Actress that year was Melissa Leo, who won. She's better than her. Melissa Leo is so classic, over-the-top Oscar-y in The Fighter.
Wait, who
Amy
was
Adams.
What movie?
Wait,
The Fighter.
wait, Melissa Leo or Marissa Tomei?
The Fighter. Okay.
Melissa Leo in The Fighter. Amy Adams in The Fighter. Never going to really argue with Amy Adams being... But I was not on as high on The Fighter as everybody
okay.
else. Helena Bonham Carter for The King's Speech. She's fine. Haley Steinfeld was my pick that year for True Grit. Jackie
Oh, yeah.
Weaver was,
So Mia
was
Kunis
really
was
good in Animal
Rob
Kingdom.
Steinfeld was. That's like
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld should have won.
she's better than all of the other actors in that movie, and they're all bringing their A game. Like Josh Brolin,
The horse
Jeff
should have
Bridges, like oh god,
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon. Yeah, like
Bridges.
and she like acts circles around them. Oh,
She should have been nominated for actress and lost to Natalie Portman, but being Best Supporting Actress,
I would
she should have
argue
easily won.
that Jeff Bridges should not have been nominated for that because he made up every single word he said in that movie.
That doesn't
Could
mean he's
not
not a good
understand
actor.
him.
Jeff Bridges.
In which one? Oh, True Grit.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges should have won for True Grit this year, and Colin Firth should have won the year before when Jeff Bridges won for Crazy Heart. Colin Firth should have won that year for Single Man. They should have just flipped it, guys. They got it wrong. Anybody got anything else on the Book of Eli? A good movie that's worth watching.
I think my phone's listening to us because you just said that something about Extract, and then Netflix was like, "Hey, you want to watch Extraction?" That's creepy.
Do I want to watch Extraction? I still
Is
haven't
that the
watched
one-
it.
Extract is also interesting
is
because
that
that
the
would
one
have
with
been
Guy
arguably.
Pearce?
No, it's
It's Chris Hemsworth.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that one. The one that just happened.
I was thinking.
You're
of
thinking of
Lockdown.
Space Jail.
Yeah, I was
Space
thinking
Jail.
of Lockdown
Space Jail.
or Lockout. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Extraction's
Space
good.
Jail is worth watching. Extraction, I heard, is just gratuitous, and I don't know.
I like Extraction. I mean, it's definitely
But you
one
guys
of Netflix's
also like
better
the
originals.
old guard, so what does that do for me?
I said it was okay, and my rating would probably go down
I'm
if I
just
watched it
stirring
again.
the pot. I'm just stirring the pot.
Speaking of Mila Kunis,
you
her
just don't
best
like
role
Charlize
was
Theron
in
enough.
Jupiter Ascending.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, no.
That's similar to her performance here. Like the movie.
Land.
Yeah. No, I think like I agree. Like I like Jupiter Ascending and can agree that Mila Kunis is not the best part of that movie.
That's
She's
because
the
the
main
script is
character.
garbage.
Like
The script is interesting.
Sean Bean is a bee.
No, the only thing I have to say about this movie is I was super annoyed with the guy when he picks up the bomb, realizes it's a bomb, and drops it at his feet instead of
Yeah,
throwing
throw
it a mile away. It's like, just
Also,
throw
that
it
should have
away.
just like been a 1-2 cut of like open boom. That person
Yeah,
got
that would have
exploded.
been amazing. But no, we had to have him see God by looking into the sun.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson found Jesus.
Actually, real quick, I should have talked about this earlier, and Zach, you alluded to it. How do we feel this performance fits in the pantheon of Gary Oldman's other villainous performances?
I mean,
don't
it's
think we talk about this.
It's pretty low key most of the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say bottom tier. Like, I mean,
I think he's good in the movie, but
he's not bad, but it's just like a Gary Oldman
It's
villain
Gary
is usually
Oldman
like
in an
highlight of the
abusive
show.
relationship, so comments there.
I mean,
Yeah.
the top will be his top is obviously The Professional. And then
I would
I'd
say the
put
Fifth
Fifth Element.
No,
Element.
the top is John's favorite performance at the end of Dark Knight.
Yeah, Zach, I can't believe you think this ending was worse than
I laughed
than
at
the
screen.
Dark Knight.
The
I
ending of
laughed.
Dark Knight is very in line with comic books.
It's also just like this operatic build-up that last 3 minutes of the movie. It's just like a visual
like-
and oral flourish, and then that boom, boom. Oh my god! I just got chills thinking about
The problem,
the drop.
I don't know. Like,
See, the thing about the ending of this movie is it's like she's gonna walk, make it a day, and then get murdered. That's the ending of this movie.
Raped and murdered.
Yeah.
She has like all the tools,
And
but
like
zero
her mom,
training.
why is her mom smiling? Like, yes, okay, it's great. Gary Oldman is finally
Yeah, what do
getting
you
his
think's gonna happen
comeuppance,
to
but
her?
she's gonna leave that room immediately, get raped and murdered. It's like Mila Kunis wants to go home and save her. She's not gonna be alive.
Okay, so next week we're gonna review a new release coming to Amazon Prime, the Rosamund Pike starring Radioactive, which is
Who's gonna sing that song all the time?
No,
That should be
no.
the intro. That should be the intro to the.
I will
the
not. I hate
episode.
that fucking song.
But it was Matt Holliday's walk-up song.
This movie was directed by Margarine Satrapi. I can't do her name. She's a French-Iranian filmmaker.
Now
and,
John's interested.
And
foreign, you say?
she did Persepolis,
Oh, nice.
and I enjoyed that movie a lot. But I don't know if I've seen her other.
Have you guys read Persepolis?
I always
No,
wanted
I saw
to.
the movie. I feel like I've been. Oh, she did The Voices with Ryan Reynolds, which was a
Oh, that was
That
Really?
was
amazing.
great.
interesting movie.
Yeah,
I-
that's a
I never
fucked up
Wait,
movie.
she did the what?
The
Voices.
Voices with Ryan Reynolds
And Anna Kendrick and Emma Arterton, and I don't remember
and
who else.
some
So, Ryan
evil
Reynolds is a
animals.
schizophrenic who hears the voices of his dog and cat, who he also plays.
And he's a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It is a trippy movie.
That was her last movie, so I did see that, and I did not see her two Chicken with Plums or Gang of Hotas. But no, that makes me more intrigued for this. So yeah, Radioactive, we're gonna see it. Which I forgot to say, it was about Mary Curie, right?
Marie Curie.
Yeah, science. We'll drop in Jesse
Science.
saying science. But yeah, we're gonna do a new release, much to Ben's chagrin. We'll watch Emperor News Groove one of these days. That's a movie I still have never seen.
I mean, it's already Emperor's old groove, but it's gonna just get even older now.
Do you have opinions on the sequel? Did you ever
Kronk's
watch-
New Groove?
Yeah.
I heard less than good things.
So you never saw it?
So I didn't see it.
I thought
I
it
think
was
I even knew
apparently.
it existed.
I thought I heard it was one of the better direct-to-video like
But
Disney cash grabs.
From what I've heard, it's like Patrick Warburton's character is great as like a supporting character. He is not someone a movie should be built around. Just like Jack Sparrow, like great supporting character, not so much.
Yeah, when you
he's,
guys
like,
gonna
an hour
watch-
and a
Wait,
half.
Jack Sparrow's the supporting character?
He was in the first. Don't get me going. I just watched all these movies, guys.
Like
I'm
all
still-
of them,
Screw it,
all
we're
of
changing
them?
the plan.
Like
I
five?
watched all
Ben,
five.
we're doing the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
it's
watched
like
all
instead
five.
of But instead of being like, he's not, even when he's like more of a, he has a bigger role, he's not like the only big main character.
I mean, he's supporting he's a supporting actor to the alcohol for his performance.
Why is the
mean-
rum gone?
He is definitely the main point of interest for the second, third, and fourth movie. To all of those movies' detriments. The third movie, the least so. But, like...
I literally don't remember the fourth movie. I remember
There were
There's nothing
mermaids.
to
remember.
I remember that.
Ian McShane is Blackbeard.
It's the most
that's, like,
expensive movie ever made,
Penelope
apparently.
Cruz was in it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
Penelope
good in
Cruz
it.
is in it. But it's just like, it's this movie that I remember watching, but I don't remember anything in it. Like,
Yeah,
at
same.
all.
Ben, I watched it and I don't remember anything that happened.
I think
in
at
it.
one point, I think
Just
there
a
was
week
like
ago.
a seesaw ship at some point. I don't remember.
Seesaw?
What?
Like a ship that was losing its balance. It was like I think there was a scene like that.
No,
And there-
that was in the second or third one, where they're like fighting on top of it, where it's going.
No, not that one.
Oh, I was thinking of the Ferris, not the Ferris wheel thing, but it was kind of like the.
I mean,
water
in all
wheel or
fairness,
something.
I haven't seen it since it came out, so I could be making it up. I don't
All right. The fourth movie's problem is it makes him the lead and then doesn't make him like a douchey little jerk. Like he has to be the hero and it's not fun or interesting. Even though the second and third movie, it gets tiresome because it gives so much over to him being like a weirdo. And it's like more serving Johnny Depp even than it is the
Although I will say, like the
third
stuff,
the character.
I will say the stuff in the locker though, where he's just like fucking around, is
Yeah, no, the third
amazing.
one corrects
Like-
it a little bit. The second one is just egregiously like all about
Yeah, and
giving
that's-
over.
and that's where it's almost like he has the romance kind of with Keira Knightley, and it's just like,
know. Oh
Yeah, that's also a
Like,
huge.
why?
It's not a romance though. It's just like this weird thing that they entered
sexual
into the
tension,
movie
like
to
it's-
create this
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah.
The fifth movie recorrects it and turns him into a shitbag awful pirate again. And it's,
I thought the
It
fifth
works.
one was
The
okay.
movie?
I haven't seen the fifth one.
Javier Bardem is pretty solid as the.
the
as
fifth
bad
one's
guy.
worth watching. I gave it only 3 stars, but it's watchable.
Yeah.
I also gave. I think Stranger
Oh,
Tides,
I think
the fourth
I've seen
one.
it. I don't think it is watchable.
The
Shoot.
Stranger Tides is also watchable. It's just nothing really interesting. It's just
Yeah, I
like
Which one
remember
is
liking
Stranger
that one.
Tides?
Who's
that's
the
the
bad
fourth
guy
one.
in Stranger Tides?
Okay.
That's the fourth one.
Ian McShane is Blackbeard in
Yes.
the fourth one.
Oh, that's
Like
right.
And again,
it's nice that
that's
it's
a
this
movie-
contained
Ian-
story.
Ian McShane is the bad guy, and I don't remember it. Like that's not good.
He's
That's
barely
really
a
not
bad
good.
guy.
Yeah, I only remember the first one pretty much.
Yeah, it goes 1, 3, 5, 4, 2 would be my rankings. This has been Pirates of the Caribbean Corner.
Pirates of the Corner.
I'm tempted to rewatch right now too. Is the Raimi Spider-Man movies and see if they're still as bad as I remember.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
Hey, New Rockstars just did. You should join them.
Spider-Man 2, one of the best superhero movies ever made. One of the best movies ever made.
wrong opinion.
Wow! Wow! wow!
It's y'all are wrong. I don't care. It's
So
fucking
why-
perfect.
I just
Like,
can't look at Tobey Maguire's face.
Wow!
So yeah, Radiation, Amazon Prime, Mary Curry.
Wait,
Rosamund
radiation or
Pike.
radioactive? What is
Radioactive.
this called?
Radioactive.
Radioactive. Amazon
the same
Prime.
diff.
New release. We'll see if it's any good. So until then, I'm Zach Oldenburg. You can find me wherever you can find at Zach Oldenburg. You can find us at middleofrow.com. Rate and review the podcast. Apparently it helps stuff.
I'm Ben Grigsby. You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at the Grigsby Bear, and you can follow all of us on Facebook at Middle of the Road.
I'm Jonathan Rahul. You can follow me on Twitter at Another Rahul J. I still don't really know what my Letterboxd account is. I have access to it. I just don't know how to follow me.
I'm Lauren Heimbaugh. You can find me on Twitter at Beware of Trees, and you can find us on Tumblr at middleroad.tumblr.com.
Thanks for listening. Go watch Radioactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And remember, it's not radiation. Radioactive.
The song
and
is not
remember-
radiation.
Okay, it's the same as the song. Got it. And remember, the best seats are in the middle of the row.